All right, good morning. So I do have the regular props that if you've been coming, we often use. I have a chair, just a dining room chair. I have a scarf, which is a slash yoga strap. You can use a yoga strap, a scarf, belt, anything you have. And I have a couple blocks here as well. And oh, well, that's nice. This little setup here, this is Mateo's little car setup. There's a, I don't know if you can see it. This is the fire truck. There was a fire this morning that we put out there. So that will join us for our practice. All right, so have a comfortable seat, either up on a lift. I have my higher than normal lift again because it allows me to open in the groins and the hips a little bit more, which therefore allows me to open, to lift the torso a little bit more, which opens the heart a little bit more. And I think we're all going through some difficulties now with the chaos of the world and in our individual cities that we live in. For some of us, also in cities that we were in, like I, for example, lived in LA and Santa Monica. So I have all of that coming in, plus what's going on here in Austin. I think a lot of us are sharing in this collective confusion and helplessness. And sometimes that can even create a closing of the heart because we don't know what to do. So we begin to protect ourselves and shelter ourselves. So we're going to work today with a little bit of opening, right? Emotions, they get stuck all over the body, but definitely in the hips and in the shoulders, they get stuck. Those are the very large joints of the body. So we're going to open those and I don't want you to think of this in a way so that we don't feel or experience what's going on, but so that what we are feeling and experiencing doesn't get trapped in the body, that it has a feel, it has time to be experienced and then can then be freed. And at the same time or through the class, we'll also ensure that the heart doesn't close itself off. So someone asked before class, how do we use asana to help us with our faith? And I'm not using that word faith, and she didn't seem to use that word faith in a religious sense. So this isn't a religious discussion. But she said something to the effect of, in these times of chaos and riots in all the major cities and people being killed for no reason, how we keep our faith and how we keep our hope, and then specifically how asana, the poses, can help with that. So it comes up for me, for that answer, as we begin our practice, what I suggest you try through the practice, you take with you through the practice, is you have to turn yourself over to the asana. So what does that mean? It means instead of always trying to get more out of the pose, doing more, trying to achieve more, at some point you get into the pose, whatever we're doing, and then you turn yourself over and let the pose do the work. Give up control of the asana and begin to observe what the asana is doing for you. Turn your faith over to the asana. And in that way, that perhaps can help build your faith outside of asana. So with that, let's begin. Resting your hands gently on your thighs. See that your hands aren't gripping. Release the hands. And begin to make the gentle adjustments that we need here. So balance evenly on the sit bones. Lengthen through the inner groin. So it's from the inner thigh out through the inner knee and from the inner thigh back towards the abdomen. Find a gentle lengthening here. Do not go for maximum today. Today's not the day for that. Going to maximum is your ego, can be, your ego trying to push you through. I'm going to conquer this. I have control. And what we want today, what I'm asking of you today is for you to work hand in hand with your body. Not try and take over, demand more. But see what your body needs of you, and then more importantly, see what your body is offering you. So lengthen the groins, descend the flesh of the inner thighs down, and draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, drawing the outer hips inward. And as you do this, can you not work to your max? And can you find, first of all, cooperation between the outer leg and the inner leg, so that the outer leg can lengthen and open while the inner leg, the inner leg opens, while the outer leg and the outer hips compact. So you have a firm, stable base. Find a lengthening from the hips to the armpits. Watch those ribs coming out. So draw the ribs in so that we get an opening in the top body as well. If we just throw the ribs forward, the opening in the upper chest and even the upper back reduces. Lengthen from the inner armpit to the inner elbows. So this groin of the arm also lengthening. Noticing how the breath changes with each action that we take. And bring your palms together with your thumbs at your chest. Your shoulder bones away from the side of your neck. Don't just jam them back and down. They can move back slightly, that's fine, especially if they're pushing forward. But a lot of you here, at least in the live class, you're not huge forward shoulder people. So get a broadening so that the front chest opens, but also the back, top back opens, and you become wider. And notice if that creates more space for the breath to flow. And then stop any adjustments and notice what this pose is doing for you. What is sitting like this offer you? And don't try and take from it. What more can I get out of it? That's not faith in asana. But trust that the asana is serving you and begin to observe how it is serving you. Now the syllable Om also can serve you as it vibrates through the body. So if you just chant the syllable Om because, well, that's what we do at the beginning of yoga class and you have to get past that part, then it will serve you less. Although it still will serve you, to be clear, because it does. But as you do the Oms, can you begin to observe how they are serving you? Can you take your faith and turn it over to the ohms. Exhale completely. Deep inhalation. And now just notice. Notice the body, notice the breath. Welcome in any experiences you're having, pleasant, unpleasant, physical, emotional. Keep your sternum lifted, lower your chin towards your heart, honoring the divine presence within you, surrendering to the divine presence within you. Release your hands onto your thighs with your palms up. With your eyes closed, raise your head. Gently let your eyelids open. All right, we're going to start off lying back today. If you have a block, have it nearby. You're not going to use it right away, but have the block nearby. You can obviously use a book instead of a block. And if you don't have it, you will be okay. It's just a little bit different. The block can help, but you don't need a block if you don't have one. Have your strap or strap substitute nearby. And lie back. Some of you will be more comfortable with the support under your head. If you need a support under your head, take a support underneath your head. And lie back. Start with your legs bent, your feet on the floor. Take your hands to the top of the buttocks and don't do a pelvic tilt, but just scoop the flesh of the top of the buttocks towards your heels to lengthen the lower back. Drag one heel on the floor, straighten your leg. Drag the other heel on the floor, straighten your leg, but keep that lower back descending. It won't stay on the floor. There is an arch there, but keep it descending. Then interlock your thumbs together and extend your arms overhead so your upper arms are in line with your ears. Notice if your thighs turn out and keep the thighs turned in. If you're at maximum extension through the heels and through the arms, stop. Pull back a little bit. We're not stretching here, to be clear. We are opening. They should take the term stretching out of yoga. Where a lot of people come and go, I want to stretch yoga class. We don't stretch. We open. So do press the tops of the thighs down. Be careful, knee people. Don't just jam the knees down, but the thighs press down. There's the extension of the inner groin. So from the inner thigh out through the inner knee, through the inner heel, and from the upper inner thigh back towards the abdomen. So full stretching. Oh, there, I said stretch again. A full opening. Take the flesh of the inner thighs down. And at the same time, as you're opening the inner legs, draw from your outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Notice the experience in the abdomen, the experience in the torso as you do this, creating space for the breath. Opening up through the side ribs. And then opening those armpits and extending armpit to elbow, elbow to wrist through those fingertips. And as you extend through the fingertips, draw from your outer elbow to your shoulder blades. So even as we extend and open, there's still a compactness. The energy stays, but it moves, it flows. It doesn't leak outside of the body. There's a flow to it. And again, if that strength part of you takes over and says, I can get more, don't do that one today. You can try it another day and see what you like better. But let's try and experience this one. What is the pose offering you? What is the pose offering you? Opening the hips, opening the armpits. And can you turn yourself over to the asana, to the pose? And release and relax. Let your arms go, let your legs go. Breathe into your shoulders and breathe into your hips. When we open the shoulders and hips, a vacuum is created. And then anything can go into that vacuum. So we want to take control of what goes into that vacuum. So breathe fresh prana, fresh life force into the shoulders and into the hips. And bend your legs, place your feet on the floor. Take the top of the buttocks, scoop the flesh towards the heels. Drag your heels one at a time, straighten your legs. Keep that lower back descending as you do so, the thighs press down. Hardest part of the pose, interlock your thumbs the opposite way you had them. Extend the arms up. Watch those ribs. Don't let the ribs push up. They'll come up a little bit, but keep drawing them towards the back body. And then extend the upper arms. So the upper arms are in line with your ears. Again, we are observing what the asana does for us. How can we cooperate? How can we work with the asana? How can we turn our faith over to the asana? Lengthening through the groin from the inner thigh, through the inner knee, through the inner heel. The little toe does move back towards you. From the upper inner thigh, back towards the abdomen. So from the upper inner thigh, you're extending out through the inner knee. From the upper inner thigh, you're drawing back towards the abdomen. The flesh of the inner thigh descending, moving down. And the drawing from the outer knee to the outer hip as you compact your hips together. Observing the breath. Notice changes in the breath as you change each action or as you take each action. Keep those front bottom ribs towards the back body as you lengthen through the side ribs. Keep opening the groins. Opening the armpits, extending armpit to elbow, elbow to wrist, right to those fingertips. Drawing from the outer elbows then to the shoulder blades. So the legs and the arms here work very similarly. And then can you surrender to the asana? The actions are done now. I mean, you still maintain, there's still the opening. It's not that you then just stop the body. So the opening is still there. But the changes, trying to add, that's done. And can you surrender? Can you begin to observe what is and see what the asana does for you? And release and relax. Let your arms be by your sides. Let your legs go. And breathe into your shoulders. Breathe into your hips. Breathe into your shoulders. Breathe into your hips. Now bend your legs. Take your feet on the floor. Take your strap or strap substitute. Take your block and put that right up into the hip. And it can be a book. It can be a pillow too, or a blanket. The block seems to, or a harder object seems to draw that hip in a little bit more. But anything can work. And if you have nothing, you have nothing. We certainly practice this pose often with nothing there. And that's fine. And the final pose does not have that. But if you have something, draw that in. Bend your leg into your chest. Put the strap where the heel meets the arch and then straighten your leg. Gentle grip with the hands. Heel above the hip, right? Don't go for maximum. Go for opening. Press the thigh bone back. Lengthen from the inner thigh through the inner knee, through the inner heel, pushing through the ball of the big toe. And from the upper inner thigh, don't stop extending upward. You are extending upward, but at the same time, draw back towards the lower abdomen. Draw the outer knee to the outer hip. So the femur bone moves into the hip socket, right? We open the hip, but we also need to strengthen the hip also. Be here for a moment. Yes, the hamstring is opening. The back of the knee is opening. The eye of the knee. So maintaining this on the straight leg, drag your left heel and straighten the left leg. Keep the thigh turned in as you do so. So the knee and the toes point up. Notice if the breath changes. Notice what changes take place. And then extending the groin of the left leg from the top of the inner thigh, out through the knee, through the heel, from the top of the thigh, back towards the abdomen. The flesh of the inner thigh moving down, drawing from the outer knee to the outer hip. Both legs doing similar actions, even though they're pointed in different directions. Now, reach high up on the strap with your right hand. Take your left hand either on your thigh to press that down, or you can take it out to the side if that feels better. Today, for me, that feels a little bit more open in the armpit, and I feel like I need that today. Pull the foot towards you a little bit, and then as you take the leg out to the side, it's going towards your face and out to the side. So it's a 45-degree angle. You can rest your upper arm if you'd like, and notice how that block is then pulling that femur bone back into the hip socket. So even though there's an opening going on with the hip, the groins, that joint itself is being strengthened. And if you don't have the block there, that's fine. Everyone draw from the outer knee to the outer hip, both legs, but certainly that leg we took over to the side. And then opening up in the groins, both directions, out through the heels, back towards the lower abdomen. The flesh of the inner thighs moving down. And if you're at maximum, back off. And can you surrender to the pose? Can you surrender to the pose? Now with a straight leg inhale, come up. And you know, I know for some of you it's a fairly hard pose to do. So if you're well practiced at this and you just take your leg straight out, you can do that again. But for the rest of you, I want you to bend your leg. So look for a second. So bend your leg to this 90-degree angle. And now when I say leg, I'm talking about the thigh part here. That's going to go at this 45-degree angle. So still hold, the strap is on the inside of the thigh, so I'm holding that. And now extend through that straight leg. So this the one that's on the floor. Open the groin, descend the inner thigh, outer knee to outer hip. And then take this bent leg now out to the side. So that you can really, for those that have difficulty with their hips and taking the leg straight out to the side, this is an option for you. So you're still drawing the outer knee to the outer hip. The block is still helping you draw that in, if you have it there. And open those groins again. So this is an alternate way to do the pose. So that you're not always forcing. You're not always trying to get more and more and more. At some point, you have to let the asana serve you. How is this asana serving you? Inhale, take the leg back up, straighten it back to Supta Padangusthasana 1. Always feels different coming back into Supta Padangusthasana 1 after you've done Supta Padangusthasana 2. And then bend both legs. Take this block to the other side. I'm going to turn around just so you can see me a little bit better, and I have that chair in the way. But you don't have to turn around. So again, that block or book gets really pushed in there if you have it. And don't get caught up if you don't. It's fine. Bend your leg into your chest. Put that strap over the foot where the heel meets the arch. Straighten your leg. Open. So the thigh bone moves back. The hip does move back as well, the outer hip. Lengthen from the inner thigh, through the inner knee, through the inner ankle, push through the ball of the toe. Take the flesh of the inner thigh straight back and draw from the outer knee to the outer hip. And then pause, ensure that you're not at your maximum, ensure that you're not demanding of yourself, but you're cooperating with yourself. You're surrendering to what the asana can offer you, not demanding more from the asana, but observing, trusting that the asana has your back. It will take care of you. Now drag your right heel on the floor, straighten your right leg. The right leg then begins to, right leg. So the right leg then mirrors the left leg. Turn the thigh in, extend, open the groins. Flesh of the inner thighs descending, outer knees to outer hips, both legs. Ensure that your outer shoulders are going down as well, that you're not just opening up in the hips and hamstrings and moving that to your shoulders. And then Supta Padangusthasana 2. So reach up high. Other arm can either go on the thigh or out to the side. Remember that leg. So take it towards your face first, and if the straight leg doesn't work, just go right to a bent leg. We'll all go to a bent leg in a minute. But sometimes it's nice just to check this out. But again, not to demand from it. And some of you I know can do it. So I don't want to not allow you to do this if you can. So there's an opening of the inner thighs, the inner knees through the inner, from the top of the inner thighs through the inner knees, through the inner ankles, through the balls of the big toe. The flesh of the inner thighs descending, drawing from the outer knees to the outer hips. Using the block on that leg that's out to the side to help draw the femur bone back into the hip socket. If you don't have the block, just keep drawing that outer knee to outer hip. And then surrendering to the pose. Straight leg, inhaling, come up. Bend the leg, 90-degree angle, and take it back out to the side. And just notice. Maybe you like one more than the other because one's more accessible to you, but either way, turn yourself over to the pose. Open the groins, outer knees to outer hips. Inhale, come up, straighten your leg. Supta Padangusthasana 1, returning here, checking in. And then bend your legs, roll to the side, and push to come up. All right, let's work on some of the shoulders now. I think I moved my laptop screen a little bit before. See if I can get a little bit more in the picture. See how that works. Oh, that's a little better. All right. Just have your strap nearby. I'll put it on as a scarf for now. You can have it nearby. Let's just start off in Tadasana. So you don't need the strap right now, but we'll use it in a second. So you can either have it on the floor to the side, on the chair, or, you know, since mine's already a scarf, I've wore a scarf in a yoga practice before. So that's fine. You can take it over your shoulders. And before demanding, just take stock. Where are you in this Tadasana? We've done a little bit of opening, strengthening in the hips, opening as well. And then begin to adjust. Balance evenly on your feet. Press the thigh bones back. Lengthen from the inner knees up through the lower abdomen. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact those hips together. Lift up through this, I shouldn't say just lift up, but there's a lengthening and a lifting of the side ribs. Watch those front ribs. Take the ribs back, front ribs back. Move the shoulders down and away from your ears and extend through the arms. Find a softness, a gentleness in the face. Notice where you're working too hard. And pull back. How does this pose serve you? Take your arms up and out to the sides. Drop the shoulders. From your armpits, rotate your arms up, just from the armpits. Notice how just turn the arms, for me anyway, pushes the front bottom ribs forward. You have to keep the front bottom ribs towards the back body. And then from the armpits, push the arms up as the shoulders go down. Ribs into the body. Turn your arms out to the sides, come down. It's as if you're pushing the air down. Push the air down to open the chest, to lift the chest. One more time, arms out to the sides, drop the shoulders. From the armpits, rotate the arms up. Rotate the arms up. At the very end, you turn your wrists so the palms are fully up. Keep the front ribs back. Now from your armpits, push up. Upper arms stay in line with the ears. Shoulders down as the arms go up. Allow those armpits to open. We're opening our armpits. Thighs stay back, balance evenly on the feet. If you work into your maximum, pull back a little. We're not forcing here. The truth is, if you pull back a little, there's more to extend. When I force, I hit a wall, an internal wall. But if I pull back a little bit, I notice these open spaces form. And then I can extend into the open spaces, and I actually get more opening with less effort, with less forcing. And then examine, study how the pose is serving you. Can you surrender to the pose and let the pose do its work? Turn your arms out to the sides, come down. Take hold of your strap or scarf or whatever it is that you have. Extend your arms forward, take your arms up. Let's see. Let's see my arms here. Let's do this. You're still standing, right? So you can have your arms wide because you want to be able to take them forward or back. I'm going to adjust a little bit. There we go. And how wide they are depends on the opening of your shoulders, your neck, shoulders. So some of you have to be very wide, and that's totally fine, whatever you need to be for you. So here, extend upward and also slightly outward. And again, we're looking to open those armpits. And then let the strap fall behind you, right? So if you have to take your arms further apart, do so. And then back up in front of you. Let's do this a few times. Up and back, up and forward. Don't throw the hips forward and back as you take the arms forward and back. Sometimes when we take the arms back, we throw the hips forward. And try and keep the arms even. You know, it's interesting. I've said this before, but this whole teaching on video, right? So I can see myself here. So I see how differently my arms are working, especially when they get to that point on top. So seek an evenness in the arms, even though you might not get it. And then your next time going back, stop at that place that just feels most open. Keep the ribs into the body, but really open the armpits. The back armpit moves towards the front armpit. The front armpit moves up. And just allow for this opening and allow the pose to work for you. And then let your arms come down. Forward one more time. Put the strap to the side. Take your arms out to the side. Rotate your arms so they face up from the armpits. Arms up. And just notice any differences, but also now let this work for you. It may work differently than you did it the first time. And turn your hands out to the side. Push that air down to lift the chest, coming back into Tadasana. How is this Tadasana different? Garudasana with the arms. Take your right elbow on top of your left. Cross your forearms and touch your palms together. Wonderful for opening up, especially the top back of the shoulders. Take your upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular to the floor, and rotate the wrists so the knife edge faces forward. And release. Tadasana. Notice how the sides feel very different now. And then left elbow on top of right. Cross. Cross the forearms. Upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular to the floor. Rotate the wrist so the knife edge of your hand faces forward. Keep the shoulders moving down, broaden across the top of the back. And release. Tadasana, check in. Take your arms up to the sides, rotate the arms up. Keep the shoulders down as the arms go up, as if you're pushing your arms up from your armpits. So you're not taking your hands up, but you're pushing your arms up. The hands are only following. Let the pose work for you. Turn your arms out to the side, push the air down, and come down. Walk your left hand up your back. All right, so I'm using my right hand to walk the left arm up the back. If you can reach the elbow, draw it in. Or just support your forearm or wrist. Keep those ribs in. And then as an extension from the center of the chest over the shoulder and down through the elbow. You can even help to push the fingernails into the back, into the spine. And release. And then switch arms. So use your opposite hand and just you have it gently push the hand up. Again, if you reach the elbow, that's fine, but not everybody will, and it's fine if you don't. Interesting screen that just popped up. What is that? I can see all of you still. I assume you can see me. If there's a problem, somebody let me know. So again, there's an extension from the center of the chest over the shoulder, down through the elbow. Watch those ribs. Bring the ribs in. This is Gomukhasana. We're preparing for Gomukhasana, the arms. And release. Take the left arm up, rotate it, place it in your back. So, center of your back. Take your opposite hand, take the outer part of the arm and turn that in. And then using your arm, watch these ribs. The ribs are going to want to follow. So draw the front ribs towards the back body. And it's not that you're just forcing the elbow up and back, but can you gently open the armpit? Gently open the armpit. Don't go to your max. Gently open the armpit. And then release the helper arm. Extend your arm up, turn it out to the side, come down. Other side. Up. Turn it so the palm faces the back. You can even press your fingerprints now. Before I said press your fingernails. Now press your fingerprints into your back. And then take your opposite hand, take it across, draw it in. So there is a turning there. But now open the armpit. Kindly, gently, compassionately, not forcefully. Not you're too close, but see where it is. Let the pose work for you. And then release the helper arm. Extend the arm, turn it out to the side, come down. Now we want to combine those together. So you'll take your left hand up. So left hand goes up your back, wherever you can get it. The right arm goes up, turns around. Now some of you, the hands will be able to clasp. Others, you can just take hold of your t-shirt. You can also use a strap here. Some of you might like a strap. You take a strap and you hold it like that. So you can take a strap, a t-shirt, or whatever you're wearing, or if your hands clasp, they clasp. That's fine. Don't force the clasp. That wouldn't be cooperating, would it? Now that top arm, turn the tricep towards the nose, just like your hand was helping before. Open that armpit. The lower arm from the center of the chest, extend over the shoulder, down through the elbow, move your elbows away from each other. And if you're max, pull back a little bit. I was at my max. I was going up, jamming into it. So I pulled back. Now there's an ease to it. Now open. Open the elbows away from each other. And then extend your right arm up. Take your left hand on the outside of your waist here. Take your hand down. Touch both palms together. And take your right elbow forward. Then release. Other side. Walk your right hand up your back. Left arm up, rotate it, come to the back. So now you're either holding your strap or shirt or clasping your hands. Watch those front ribs going forward. Take the front bottom ribs back. The top arm, take the tricep towards the nose. Open the armpit as you take the elbow up and back. Bottom arm, extend up from the center of the chest, over the shoulder, down through the elbow. And then open the elbows away from each other. Don't force them, don't jam them. Open the elbows away from each other. And extend the arm up. Take that other hand out by the side, palms together, left elbow forward, Tadasana. Arms out to the sides, drop the shoulders, rotate the arms, rotate the armpits so the arms point up. Watch those ribs, ribs back. From the armpits, push your arms up. Let the pose work for you. Turn your arms out to the sides. Exhale, come down. All right, we're going to lie back, but watch. Watch for a minute. You'll take a blanket here. Some of you will have this flat. If it's bothering your neck, I'm going to show you another way to do it. You'll take a block or a book. And if you don't have it, I will show you another way to do it as well. We're going to open up the shoulders and open up the front of the hips here. So you lie back, take your feet underneath or close to your buttocks. You're going to lift up. Now it's your choice the height. You can even do a low one. This, just take a low block and straighten your legs, open, this is fine. Now, if this bothers your lower back, you might need to take another pillow or something underneath your feet, and that's fine. You can also do this height here, medium height. And some of you will be able to come up. Notice, if you come up to the high height, look at my feet. You have to come up onto the balls of the toes, and then come down. And then you can straighten your legs here, okay? Now, and if you know how to do this and you want to get into it, that's fine. But I'm going to show a couple other options here. One is, you don't have any block, just be here with keep your legs bent. And you just have to work a little harder, making sure the inner thighs are down and keeping the buttocks and the hip up. You can even press the outer shoulders and the hands down. So you'll stay here working a little bit more, but allowing the pose to work for you. Now, for those of you that may feel this in your neck, see this blanket? You can fold it in half. Sometimes when you fold it, there's a wrinkle inside, so you want to get that wrinkle out. So here, I have a nice blanket folded in half. Shoulders on the blanket, head is on the floor, and then again, you can do any of those positions. Low, medium, high. Do roll the outer shoulders down, right? So you get this open in the chest. Watch those ribs. These ribs still stick out, so you have to draw them in. Or no block. This is fine too. Okay? So pick your version of that pose. If you don't understand anything, please unmute yourself and ask if you don't know which version of that you want to do or should do or don't understand the different options. All right, so it sounds like everybody's clear. So we'll be here for a couple minutes. I'm not that concerned if your feet are together. So you can actually just let your feet be apart. Allow your feet to be apart. If you have straight legs, if you're doing the bent leg version, then your feet are about hip distance apart. If you're doing the straight leg version, whichever version, just let your feet be a little bit apart.
the thighs do turn in. Don't let the feet just fall away. You can take the feet apart. The thighs turn in. And now we need the opening. So it's that same opening of the groin from the inner knee over the lower, up over towards the lower abdomen. There's an extension out as well. So you can do it from the inner thigh out through the inner knee, through the inner heel, from the top of the thigh back to the abdomen. But that space between the inner knee and the lower abdomen, that needs to open. The flesh of the inner thigh is descending. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. If it's bothering your lower back, one, you can just bend your legs. That's fine. Taking your legs higher helps. That's more ideal than bending your legs, but you can bend your legs. And also take the top of the buttocks towards your heels and the tailbone towards the ceiling as you press the thighs down. So this is really opening this front part of the hips here. Also deeper inside the psoas, which that gets so tight and so stuck, riddled with our emotions. The arms can be, you can work the arms having them face down, or you can just rest them out to the side. Soft throat. We're looking to open the heart here, really opening the heart, the chest. So that doesn't mean harden the diaphragm. So you want to take the front bottom ribs slightly into the body so that the diaphragm widens and becomes softer, so that the chest itself can begin to open. And then let the pose work for you. Stop working the pose, stop trying to get more out of it, and see what the pose is already offering you. And then coming out, bend your legs, take your feet on the floor. If you have that support, just lift your buttocks up, then come right back down. Lift it up just about an inch, come back down. And then lift up, take the block out, come down from the top of the spine to the base of the spine. Sit bones towards your heels and rest for a moment. If you have the folded blanket, you might need to adjust that so now it's under your head, not your shoulders. And then roll to the side and come up. All right. Everybody doing okay? If someone's not doing okay, please unmute, let me know. Ustrasana, camel pose. If you want, in class, sometimes I'm kind and I let you take a blanket for your knees, but you don't really need that. But what I do want you to have is I want you to have a lift on your calves. So I have a couple blankets here and I can take those, but I want you to have a higher than normal lift. So I still really have to reach. I don't want you going to maximum here. So let's see, what can I find here? I'll be back. Here's a nice big couch cushion. There we go. I want you, obviously, if you have a bolster, just go grab a bolster or two, but have a higher lift. Yes, final pose, we go to our
Well, the final pose, your palm is flat on the sole of your foot. Often we go to the heel. But I want you to have a lift here because we're not looking for a forcing, we're looking for an opening. So I'll show you, I'm gonna go back and forth from the front to the side. But I want you to take your knees underneath your hip sockets, not the outer hips, not that one, but underneath the hip sockets so the thighs are pretty much perpendicular to the floor. You have this nice, higher than usual lift, okay, on your calves. Go to this side. I do want you to the toes should face straight back. I know you can't really see them now, maybe because they're covered up with a bunch of stuff, but sense the toes are not pointed towards each other or away from each other. And lengthen from the inner knee through the big toe itself. And then there's a lengthening from the inner knee all the way up through the lower abdomen here. So we're opening this area again. Now take your fingertips on your lift and roll your upper arms out to create space for the side ribs. Now push the shins down, take the tailbone in. Now start with your chin tucked. We're opening the heart. Yes, we're still opening the front of the hips, this area. Even the armpits are getting open, but we're trying to get our heart to breathe. So begin to arch the back. Arch the back. Watch the ribs. Take the ribs into the body and arch the back. At some point, you may just feel that the head needs to go back. If so, take it back. But don't force it back and don't stop the head halfway. Either it goes all the way, either at the chin or all the way back, but not stuck halfway. Take the front bottom ribs slightly towards the back body to soften the diaphragm and allow the chest, the heart to open. Now to come out, push into the shins, inhale, come up, and then have a seat. Rest. Anybody have any questions? Now's the time. So why do I want this higher lift?
Jonathan, this is really hard on my knees and lower back.
Do you have padding underneath your knees?
No.
Take padding underneath your knees. Okay. I said you didn't have to have it. You have to have it. Get. If you don't have blanket, get a blanket from your bed, a blanket, comforter, whatever, or you can get a bath towel. Take something underneath your knees that will help your knees.
Thank you.
For your back, you have to take the top of the buttocks down. For your back, one is that's why I want you to have a higher lift, right? So that you don't have to take it in your back. Do take the top of the buttocks down and the tailbone forward. That's going to help relieve your lower back. And don't arch so far. If you just want to do this, that's fine. Open this and allow the heart just to rise up. Okay? Let me know if it bothers you still. Push the knees, let me restate that. Push the shins down, lengthen from the inner knee through the toe. Lengthen from the inner knee up through the lower abdomen. And do draw from the outer knee to the outer hip. There's also that compacting of the hips. So lower back, please take the top of the buttocks down. Please take the tailbone forward. Don't throw the hips forward. It's not this one where the hips go forward. That will bother your lower back. So the thighs still need to press back as the tailbone goes forward. And maybe you just stop here with the lifting of the chest towards the ceiling and tuck your chin. This is okay. Get this nice opening in the heart. And if your lower back is okay and your knees are okay, then begin to arch back a little bit more. Watch those ribs. My ribs, at this point, my ribs puff forward. So I have to draw them back in so I can actually open up the chest. And then begin to take the head back. Tailbone in, top of the buttocks down for the lower back. Bring the shoulder blades in to lift the heart. Push into the shins, inhale, come up, have a seat. How was the lower back that time? I think it was Karen who was talking, but I could
Yeah,
be-
it was much better. Thank you.
Okay. The reason I want this lift is so you can stay in the pose longer and let it work for you, right? If we reach down to the feet, sometimes it's just a lot of struggle. I mean, it's a fine pose to do it. I do it, but sometimes I have to come out more quickly. And I want you to get the benefits of the pose. I want you to see how the pose is working for you. I want to give you the time and opportunity to surrender to the pose. So one more time, in a way you can stay in it. If it begins to bother your back, then come out. It means you can't hold it anymore. Or, try and keep those things. If you can't hold them, come out. But otherwise, we're going to hold it just a little bit more so we can actually experience it.
Jonathan,
Yes.
it's Carolyn.
Yes.
Can I put my hands on a chair chair
Yes.
seat?
Another way to do it, I mean, there is a whole restorative, really settled in version of the chair. But I'll just show you this one. So this one's fine. And one day when we're back in the studio, I'll show you the one where you can really just when we can use all our props and chairs again, one day I'll show you how you really let go. Or some of you can look up, you can Google it. There's some great pictures out there. So yes, this one, totally fine. We'll put less strain on your back as well. Okay? So thank you for asking, Carolyn. A chair is actually a very good idea. We might do this a fourth time with the chair just for Carolyn. Or just for all of us, because not for Carolyn, because of Carolyn. Because I didn't think of that. Shins down. Lengthen through from the inner knee through the big toe. Outer knees to outer hips. Lengthen the groins. Really allow these groins to open. But it's also the flesh of the inner thighs going back. Then pushing into your lift. Begin to lengthen through the side ribs. Top of the buttocks down, tailbone in, yes. Front bottom ribs towards the back body to widen the diaphragm, yes. And then arch that back, open the heart. Allow the pose to work for you. Can you surrender to this pose? And then pushing your shins into the floor. Inhale, come up. Have a seat. And let's do one last time. If you have a chair nearby, take that chair. Otherwise, you can just do that version again. That's fine. But the chair actually is really nice. Thank you, Carolyn, for bringing it up.
You're welcome.
Take the chair behind you. So then your feet go underneath the chair a little bit. You still want to get your knees underneath those hip sockets. And you can have fingertips or flat hands, whatever's more, or even take your hands on the side. Fingertips over the side sometimes is nice. Watch those ribs. Push the shins, lengthen through the lower leg, through the foot. Outer knees to outer hips. And then you get to arch here. You get to be here. And even though, as I'm here, so even though I'm arching less, my kidneys and adrenals are being brought in more. I can really feel it in that kidney band. They're drawn in and up and awakening. So in that area, I'm actually getting much more out of this version of the pose than I was before. And I can stay here longer and let the pose work for me. And coming out, press your shins into the floor. Inhale, come up. You don't have that, you can sit on the chair maybe. You don't have that nice cushion, but just have a seat on your heels if that's comfortable, or just stand up into Tadasana. And as long as we have the chair there, downward facing dog.
If you prefer it on the floor, take it on the floor, but I'm going to do it on the chair because I don't want to struggle today. Hands on the chair, walk your feet back. Press your thighs back, lengthen, open the groins, the flesh of the inner thighs moving back, outer knees to outer hips. Lengthening through the side ribs, opening those armpits. And if you are at your maximum, please get off of your maximum. Can this pose work for you? Can this pose work for you? And look up, walk your feet forward.
Tadasana. And release. So for Shavasana today, I'm going to recommend your feet on the chair. So you want to take a blanket for your head. You can be flat. If you prefer flat, that's fine. Your body. But I'm going to recommend elevated legs. Take your feet up on the chair. You know, this one isn't a perfect one for this version of the pose, but it works. Just so my feet are a little further apart, that's fine. And take my head back. Having the blanket support just underneath the top of the shoulders in the seventh cervical, not underneath the shoulders, but so that neck is supported. Scooping the flesh of the heel, of the buttocks towards the heels or away from the waist. And find a comfortable place for your arms. Let your abdomen be soothed. If there's another version that works better for you, that you feel is more optimal, you can do that. And now again, we want to come to a place where the pose is serving us. Right? We talk about that we do asanas, we do yoga poses. And we want to come to a place where the poses do us. At some point it goes back and forth. But can you let Shavasana do you? Can you find a sense of surrender here? Remember, you don't need to breathe, the breath will breathe you. And instead of being the doer, can you be the receiver and the observer? So part of you, the receiver of the asana, and a part of you, the observer of the effects of the asana on that receiver. Deepen the inhalation. Lengthen the exhalation. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. Bend your legs, place your feet on the floor with your knees together, your feet apart. Take your hands and place them onto your abdomen or onto your chest. Let the healing energy of your hands penetrate your body, pierce through your layers, and heal whatever it is you need healing with today. Healing can be physical, healing can be emotional. When you feel ready, extend your right arm past your right ear, roll to the right. If the left side is better, roll to the left. Take the left hand, put it on the floor in front of your heart, turn your torso towards the floor, push to come up chest first, head last. Come up to sitting. You can sit cross-legged, sit how I am with my sitting on my heels, whatever's comfortable. And the chair is fine. Bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest. Take a moment to observe your practice. Take a moment to bathe in your true splendor. Honor yourself, say something kind to yourself, say something loving to yourself. Share that love with those of us who are here together virtually, but still together. Share your loving kindness, your compassion with all of us here. And then can you expand your awareness to send your love, your kindness, your compassion to all those in need this very moment throughout the planet. Gently let your eyes open. Namaste. Bow to the divine within you.